Today on First Cup, I'm going to explain why I'm on my phone, and apparently I'm cursed. And I don't know what else because I'm all thrown off. So stick around. We roll in 15. I have to pour some coffee. Computers are stupid. Three, two, one. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today is Wednesday. It's February 9th, 2022. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Good morning, Liz. Let's see if I can find a way to balance this where you can see me. All right, I guess we'll do this. So I went to, good morning, Dennis. I went to get the laptop running, and it wasn't finding the camera. I was like, that's dumb. Why aren't you finding the camera? And it just wasn't. So I rebooted. And then it was taking forever. So then I went to grab my new laptop that showed up, I don't know, the other day. And I used it all day yesterday without any problems. And it had this weird screen up on it. And it was like, yeah, I just did a hardware check. Everything's fine. I was like, that's weird. Continue. Windows didn't load. What do you want to do? So I restarted it. But, Ray says, and Mercury is no longer in retrograde, too. I feel like my entire life is Mercury retrograde sometimes. Good morning, Stacy. So what that means is I'm not really prepared. I'm going to see if it's possible to shift from here back to here because this thing has started back up. Or so I think it has. Oh, it's running like death. Oh, wow. This is terrible. Nope, that's not going to work. So I'm going to talk. No, you know what? I'm going to stay focused. And this thing clearly did not shut down when I told it to. So I'll just leave that over there. You have mornings like this where it's just not going the way you want it to. Good morning, Andy. What do? You can't start over. You can't throw it out. You can't pretend it's not happening. You just have, good morning, Mark. You just have to do it. You have to run with what you have, right? Do what you can with what you have where you're at. I've got a mug that says that. Thanks, Jenny. Yesterday, holy cow, you guys, I recorded what has to be 3 of the best interviews I've ever done. Seriously. They went awesome. I've been dialing into this. Good morning, Brian. Been dialing into this, how do I want to describe it? Kind of this vibe. And we've done a few things differently. One of the big ones that I've done differently is I don't eat. The only calories I had until 3:30, 4 o'clock was the bit of butter that was in my coffee. That was it. And yeah, I was hungry, but I was focused. Holy cow. My brain was clicking. It was great. I loved it. Then it says, Mama said, here, how do I do this? This way. Mama said there'd be days like this. Yeah, she did. And on top of that, I was sitting, we had video going, and I really thought that they came through well. So you'll get to see them. We may drop video versions of 1 or more in Patreon. Andrew and I are going to talk about that next time we have a meeting. Because I can't promise that every episode is going to be video, but if we have bonus stuff, why not throw it out there? You just loaded Chrome. You're dumb, stupid computer. Apparently, I'm only allowed to have 1 functional computer at a time. That's really what it seems to be. Brian's asking, intermittent fasting. That's not what it was designed to be. I've done intermittent fasting at times. I am not currently. intermittent fasting has some good stuff and some bad stuff to it, and I think people abuse it. I think anytime you're using it for weight loss, you're missing the point. I think connecting the dots of I want to lose weight, so I'm going to not eat food. I think that's really unhealthy and carries risk. Jenny says, wait, you were sitting? Yeah, I sat all 3 episodes yesterday. It was glorious. I was kind of hanging out. I was like this. I mean, you could see me in frame a little better. Just kind of relaxing, talking to guests. It was good. I was very glad we didn't have 4 yesterday because I was fried. And then I did work at my desk until 5:30. Some of you received some emails because I was really behind on emails. I'll be catching up on a bunch of stuff today. All these meetings on Monday. That's really what throws me off is, I end up with a stack of meetings from 9 to 3 or whatever. Just nothing I can do about it. What else happened yesterday? I went to the gym. Made food. That was it. There was very little. Threw some more stuff in the vacation pile. Do you have a vacation pile? Do any of you do that? If you're going on vacation, you start piling up the stuff you're going to need. You don't pack it yet, but you walk by somewhere, you're like, oh, I got to bring that. And you throw it in the pile. Oh, I should really bring that too. Throw it in the pile. But inevitably, you look at the pile, and you're like, oh, I haven't even put clothes in here. There's way too much stuff. So you start sorting through, and you're like, oh, what can I do without? Really anything. You don't need much, but it's safe to bring it. So that's yesterday. What's going on today? Today's Wednesday. I've got client call, prospective client call, and we're flipping it. A client that I'm working with provides a service that I'm interested in, so we're going to have a first call. There's something going on there that I'm not ready to say more about it yet. It's probably something I will tell you guys about at some point, but we're not there yet. Something that could be big. Kelly says, my whole life is in piles. I agree. I understand what you mean with that. Yes. There's a pile of stuff that needs to be dealt with. There's a pile of stuff that needs a different kind of thing to be dealt with. There's the vacation pile. There's the pile of things to be scanned so I can archive it. Yeah. Dennis says, I always make a vacation pile before packing. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one here. Jenny says, I do clothes that I don't want to have to wash before I leave go in that pile so I don't accidentally wear them before packing. And I make a checklist for everything. I've got a list going. There's definitely a list. And what's funny is I don't just trust my own list. So I'll Google like what to bring on a tropical vacation. And I look at the lists of other people and some of the stuff that they're like, oh, you should bring these things. I'm like, those are dumb things. I'm not bringing those. But sometimes they'll have a thing that I hadn't thought of to bring, and I'll bring that thing. So the downside to us being on the phone, although this actually seems like it's cooperating mildly now, we will find out. I'm going to attempt to do both here. I'm going to attempt to switch over to the laptop. No, I think that USB port died. Well, that's fascinating. That's not going to work well. This computer's been a problem since I bought it 5 years ago. Hate you. But I keep looking at lists and adding things to my lists and, oh, bring this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And it's funny, no matter how much space I have, I'm going to fill it. I've got a big suitcase that I bring, and it will be loaded. I bring 2 backpacks because one of them works well for the airport and the plane. The other works well for when I'm walking around. You would think, Jeremy, can't you have one backpack for both? No, because my carry-on bag is not a good hiking pack. and my hiking pack is a little bit too tall and doesn't quite fit under the seat the way they want it to. It's also not designed to store a laptop. Won't be bringing you, definitely not bringing the new one. I'm gonna bring the one that I spilled the coffee on. So inevitably, when I don't know, when it gets eaten by mollusks, I won't have to worry so much. Anything else going on today? I don't think so. It's gonna be that suggests that it's gonna be an easy day. It's not. There's a lot to do, but it's gonna be kind of a boring day. Client work, doing the books, and just chipping away on the pile of tasks and everything that's there. Do y'all remember the task management system that I'm working with, Motion? I love it. It's great. But it also does create some anxiety because it will come up and say, oh, here are the 12 things you didn't get to today. I was like, oh, reschedule all. And then I look at them again tomorrow. I actually did almost everything that was on my list yesterday. The downside is we have these 30-minute buffers between episodes, and 2 of the 3 episodes ran over. Actually, one of the episodes ran over time-wise. Another one went long because we were chatting. It was just a good person to chat with. The third one didn't because they had a meeting. We ran right up to their meeting. So we started talking. So that was probably an hour 20. The short one yesterday, I think, was an hour 20. And we chatted for another 15 minutes after. Yeah. Yeah. Stacy says, that'd be a laptop death worthy of a story. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going to go on in Belize? Maybe I'm kidnapped and held against my will and have to stay there until the snow's gone. Could happen. Kelly says, recalculate schedule. Yeah, exactly. Annie says, you all have a wonderful day. Going to be a nice day out there. We'll watch show later. Well, thanks, Andy. You have a good one as well. This thing's over. You know what? The crummy laptop would work in place of this. So I think I'll junk this. I think I'll junk both. Remember the other one that was not working well too? Blah. Stupid computers. How am I going to manage this? Frank gave me stuff to talk about in graphic form. I'm going to read it from here. All right, how do I get to Facebook over here? Facebook. Sure, you can restore those windows. Facebook. Facebook's not even open. Facebook. Other than it doing dumb things, I like this laptop. And I think it did dumb things because I left it with the lid shut and it didn't shut off. So we're not going to do that again. Frank sent it to me in a message. Shout out to Frank. All right, where are we? Questions for Wednesday. Here we are. There. This laptop can serve as a platform for this laptop. Today is National Bagel and Lox Day. I didn't know that was a holiday, but I'm glad it is because, yes. So fun fact, I thought lox, and for those of you who don't know, lox is smoked salmon. I thought lox was gross, which growing up Jewish was not what you were supposed to think. Got to college, was a little more willing to try things, had lox on a bagel with some cream cheese and went, oh, this is what I've been missing. Okay, I get it now. This is good. So good. It was so good. And now, yeah, I'll go hard on the bagels and cream cheese with the lox. It's pretty good stuff. I don't buy smoked salmon because if I do, I eat it really fast and I eat too many bagels. And bagels are delicious, but they're also It's just a bucket of carbs, not to be confused with a bucket of crabs. All right. In your experience, where can you get the best bagels? The best bagels I've ever had are from Montreal. There's a little spot in, what do they call that neighborhood? Old Montreal. I've only been there once. And it's this little Jewish bagel joint, and they only take cash, and all they sell is bagels. You could get tubs of cream cheese. There's nowhere to sit down, and it's cash only. That's it. And you walk in, and you're like, I just give me 4 of these and 2 of these and 6 of those, and they put them in a bag, and you pay, and you walk out. And if you do it the way I do it, you sit in the car and eat 4 of them immediately. I think I went up there with someone. We got a dozen bagels, and I think 3 of them made it home. That was it. We ate 9 bagels before we got to the border that day. Granted, we didn't have lunch, but still. This bagels to substitute for the treat. I don't know what you mean, Brian. I've made bagels. Bagels are good. I've heard, plenty of people talk about New York bagels. There was even, I don't know if it's still around, but there was a franchise, a chain, that their premise was they imported New York City water, because apparently it's the water that makes the bagels special there. That whole premise concerns me. If the water there is that different, what's different? Because it should just be water. So why is it different? Now, if it's the mineral content, then maybe I can get behind that, but it just makes me worried. I've had other New York things that were supposedly the best. Oh, the Chinese food in New York is the best. I had New York Chinese food. It wasn't special. New York pizza is the best. I've had New York pizza. It wasn't that special. And yeah, we're talking about places where people said, this is the best. It's fine. I'm sure I've had New York bagels at some point. I don't remember. Oh, Brian means thin bagels to substitute for the treat. So bagel thins are great. I've had those. The challenge, if you're going to stack cream cheese on it, you're fine. If you're going to put salmon on it, the ratio's off. Smoked salmon's a really strong flavor, and you need a thick base. You need a lot of bagel to go with that. It's funny that today is Bagel and Lox Day, because I thought about making bagel French toast for dinner last night. Yeah, that's a thing. I'm not sure that I invented it, but I invented it. Bagel French toast, breakfast sandwiches. Those are pretty darn good. You can also do them with apple cider donuts. Apple cider donut French toast breakfast sandwiches. I definitely invented that. You should not eat more than one in probably a year, because it's so heavy. You eat it and you're like, this is the best thing ever, and I'm probably going to die. But it's delicious. Jenny says, there's a guy in my area who started a business based on making trips to New York City twice a week to buy fresh bagels and then drive them back here and deliver them. Cool. How's he doing? Dennis says, Manhattan pizza is nothing special. You need to go to the Bronx or Brooklyn for the best New York pizza. See, and I would believe Dennis here. Good morning, Nathan. There's so much going on in New York City that everybody has these different opinions of things. And for those of us who have not spent a lot of time, it becomes really confusing. How do we slice this? Why? Okay, there you go. What is your favorite type of bagel? It depends on when I'm eating it. If it's a breakfast bagel, it's probably like a cinnamon raisin, somewhere in that vein. If it's a lunch bagel, it's probably a sandwich. And so that opens up options. That's where, like sour cream and onion bagel or an everything bagel. That's where I prefer to have something like that. If it's dinner and I'm doing something like baking, French toast or whatever, I prefer plain bagels because then, they're absorbing what I'm putting in them and the flavors don't conflict. And he says he's doing great. I'm not surprised. Well, that's good to know. I would be curious, like how much is he marking up a dozen bagels? That's a lot of driving. You either have to have a lot of room. Now, the economics of that are blowing my mind. You got to charge like double. Yeah. Stacy says sunflower bagels or maple sugar bagels. Oh, interesting. We've got a couple good bagel spots up here. One of them, Feldman's Bagel. Pretty darn good bagels. Just saying. Feldman's pretty good. When was the last time I went over there? It's been a while. Maybe let's see. Can I get there today? Where am I supposed to go for that thing? I might be able to make that work today. I may go. Like I got an errand that I've got to take care of at some point. I was hoping to do it today. Might as well do it today. And I can, make a little bit of a detour, grab a bagel. Stacy agrees. Feldman's rocks. What's the best bagel topping? You can put anything on a bagel. That's what's so good about bagels. The local grocery store will do, what is it? Sundays, a dozen bagels for $6. That's pretty cheap. And I'll, keep some in the freezer. Slice them first, and then freeze them. Right? Makes sense. And then I'll pull out half a bagel or a bagel and toast it, thaw it, depending on what I'm going to use it for. Number one, lox and cream cheese. A lot of places will do it in what is claimed to be a very traditional way. I'm not sure if that's true. I don't know. I'm not that old. With tomato and capers. Pretty good. I'll eat that. We actually used to have a place in Montpelier that made bagels, and they did a pretty good job, and they would do it this way. And, I felt like I was going and ordering like the full Jew, which Montpelier has a decent Jewish population. We just don't talk about it. They're around. It's hard for me to talk about bagels as a Jew and not like feel like it's part of my lineage. I don't know how else to explain it. Kelly says, we have a deli in Middlebury that makes homemade bagels and donuts. Very hard to drive by and not stop. I get that. I really do. Peanut butter on a toasted bagel is pretty darn good. Good peanut butter. Good peanut butter is pretty awesome on just about anything. Anyway, what else do I put on bagels? I really love bagels as a breakfast sandwich vehicle, right? Like egg and cheese, and some manner of, for me, it's going to be turkey sausage or turkey bacon, but, sausage, bacon, anything that you might find on a McMuffin works pretty well on a bagel. Sarah says, the cheddar dill with scallion cream cheese is the best. Stacy says, certainly knew the tomato, but capers? The capers just contribute a little bit of salt. Like it really does add to the experience if they put the right number on. Jenny says, I have yet to find a place I can get fresh bagels. I'm gluten, dairy, peanut, and soy free, and no one does that around me. I think it's time to make your own bagels. It's not that hard. And, once you dial in a recipe, you can make a bunch of them at a time. I've even found they make mini, and I haven't made them since I bought them, but I have these mini bagel / donut silicone molds that I could use for the baking part, right? Not that bad. Kelly says, peanut butter and bacon. Whoa, that's intense. Dennis says, Kelly, one should never not stop. Ray says, jelly donuts are the bomb. I haven't had a good jelly donut in a while. Here's a funny donut story. It's probably the only donut story I have. I was helping a friend with something. I don't remember what it was. This is going back. I was in high school. He was older. He was in his early 20s. He was an electrician. And I think he'd asked me to come help him with something. And so I went and we got donuts. And I had ordered a cream-filled donut. They didn't have Boston cream on the menu, but they had cream-filled, so I ordered a cream-filled donut. If you ordered a cream-filled donut, what are you expecting? Like that kind of vanilla pudding, like that custard texture, right? And so I take a bite. It was frosting. They had filled the whole donut with frosting. Oh, my teeth just, I can still feel it. It was horrible. I didn't eat it. Imagine being like a 15-year-old boy and not eating a donut. That's how bad it was. Oh, still not over it. Jenny says, I may be inspired to spend time in the kitchen today. Well, if you do, let me know. I'd be interested what you come up with. I find that coconut flour, you know, when I'm doing non-gluten stuff, tends to be the best, but it's so dry. It really takes a lot more liquid. But here's the thing. I am sure you are not the only person who wants bagels. You know what else might be interesting? Is potato flour. So I have a friend's daughter is, I don't know, she's somewhere between celiac and just, you know, being gluten-free. Like, I don't think it's full on, like she's gonna die, but she's got a pretty extreme intolerance. So there's a place in Maine that does potato bagels. I'm sorry, potato donuts, potato flour donuts. And was it the Holy Donut or something? They're really good. I've had them. If you can substitute potato flour in a donut, I bet you could get away with it with a bagel. Something to try. All right. This is the longest conversation on bagels I've ever had in my life. And I'm okay with that. I appreciate you guys coming by. I'm going to figure out what I'm doing here with computers momentarily. I'm super annoyed at this pile of electronics. Look at them all. Look at them all. Here's another computer. 1, 2, 3 laptops. There's another laptop in there, and then there's another laptop in there. 5 laptops. One of them works the way I want it to. Actually, you know what? This is a Chromebook. We might be able to make this one work. 1 USB port, 2 USB ports. I bet we could. I'm going to try using this one because I don't have a purpose for this for anything else. So, Ray says there's a place in Vermont that makes cockroach flour for baking. I am unfamiliar with this. I knew about the cricket flour places. There was one just up the street here, and they couldn't make it because in order to get people to eat cricket flour, it has to be economical, and they couldn't scale it to that point. Which, you know what? If you've ever had frogs or other lizards that eat crickets, you know it's really hard to keep those guys alive long enough to harvest them. They are some of the dumbest animals I've ever seen in my life. How any of them reach maturity to reproduce, I do not know. And yeah, didn't make it work. Other businesses are working on it though. Jenny says, Ray, I don't need a fresh bagel that badly. You know, here's something to think about, and I'll expand this a bit as we sign off. A large number of cultures currently, even cultures that we would consider modern, eat insects, right? There's nothing wrong with it nutritionally, health-wise, right? Like there's nothing wrong with it. We don't do it in the West. We consider it to be gross. Now, is it really any grosser than eating meat? I'm not going to be overly descriptive, but if you really think about what meat is, Is that gross? Is it grosser than eating a hot dog? Is it grosser than eating sausage? It's not, but we've been conditioned to think, oh, don't eat bugs. Probably because when we were kids and we went to eat a bug, our mom probably said, don't eat bugs. Where would we be if we ate bugs? Bugs are pretty economical. Bugs are pretty easy to raise with minimal water, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was the whole premise of the cricket flower endeavors. What else do we have? And let's confine it to martial arts for a moment. What else do we have? What preconceived notions do we have around martial arts that maybe are just things we've been told and we've been conditioned into, but might not be true? Jenny says, it's the crunch of a cockroach that makes me say, bleh. I'm not saying I want to eat a cockroach. I'm also not suggesting that you pick up random bugs off the ground, because bugs are really good at eating things that, to clean them up. Doesn't mean you should necessarily eat them. I'm also not suggesting that just biting one in half is a good idea. I'm not putting bugs on my bagel, okay? But what would it look like if we hadn't been told that? What would martial arts look like? What would your martial arts look like? How would your training look if no one told you what to train? If no one told you, you have to, how long, here's a good example. How long would you train at a time if you hadn't been conditioned to go to an hour-long class or a 90-minute class? Most of my training is in very short increments. 2 minutes here, 5 minutes here, maybe 10 minutes here. I did some kicking at the gym yesterday. With my stretching, it took maybe 5 minutes. Still training. But there are people who, if I said, just practice for 5 minutes, their initial response would be, that's not long enough, there's no point. Well, why not? And what else within our training and our martial arts culture, our discussions, is like that? Quite a bit, I'd venture. So. Dennis says 12 months to bug eating, and Jenny says, Dennis, I'm writing down this idea. I don't think we're doing that book. There are plenty of other 12-month books that we can do, and actually, Jenny, at some point we should probably talk about the next one, but that's not one of them. Stacy says, there's a specialty dish, quote, bugs with a Z on my bagel, M-A-H, bugs on my bagel. The cream cheese could trap them. They could be alive. You could put some bugs in the cream cheese. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. All right. I'm going to have a bagel later, but I'm definitely not putting bugs on it. If you do, I want you to take a picture of you eating it as proof and send it to me. Kelly agrees. I try to convince my students that to practice patterns just 5 to 10 minutes a day. It would make my life so much easier. I'm a big fan of asking people to practice whatever form they're working on once a day. Just once a day. You can do once. And if you do that, if you get in the habit, what's the form I'm working on today? Yep, there's a 12 months to better martial arts brewing up here. Are we going to do it? I don't know. Don't know. I got somebody reached out yesterday and they said, I want to order 4 hardcover copies of 12 Months to Health. Where do I do that? And I was like, oh, Amazon. There you go. Look at that picture of me. I'm the same person. Me in a suit, me in a hoodie. All right, you guys, time to go. Time for me to play computer doctor. It's my favorite job. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're watching later or listening later, hey, I appreciate all of you. If you want to join us live, you can do that. Hey, wait, I think I can do this from my phone. This is crazy. I didn't think I could do this from here. Remember, you can leave your questions or comments on Facebook, facebook.com/firstcupwithjeremy, because we do the show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. And if you want to support us, you can join the Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. There are a couple things that I will be fighting through to get up today and tomorrow for Patreon. You can also buy something like this mug or a hoodie or a shirt or whatever else at whistlekick.com. If you use the code FirstCup15, you get 15% off. You get the full list at whistlekick.com/family. Actually, Andrew sent me some photos of him from back in the day that I've got to upload, so I'll be doing that soon. All right. Jenny says, slow progress is still progress, and Stacy's calling me a dapper dude. Well, thank you, Stacy. Hey, I love you all. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate you. Go off. Have a great day. And maybe consider what we talked about. What is it that you have as these preconceived notions within your own relationship to martial arts training, etc., that warrants a second look? I gave you one example. I bet you can come up with dozens more. And actually, if you do, maybe you'll leave me some questions or comments about them for tomorrow. Okay. Take care, y'all. Peace.